Reckless Ed. Okay, so the first teaser trailer for Rogue One, a Star Wars story, came out and is jam-packed with all kinds of goodness. Some of which you may have missed and others probably not. But before I get started, potential spoilers. You can find them right about here. Okay, here we go. So, as all Star Wars nerds know, Rogue One takes place right before Episode 4, A New Hope. The first shot is of our hero, Jyn Erso, played by Felicity Jones, who has a rap sheet a mile frickin' long, including forgery of Imperial documents, possession of stolen property, aggravated assault, and resisting arrest. The base that she is being herded through is Yavin 4 from A New Hope. We see a GNK or Gonk droid, an original-style X-Wing, and an R6 series astromech droid. Once we enter the control room, take a look at the simplistic design for the screens in the background, which have to mimic the control room from A New Hope. Jyn is brought before Mon Mothma, played by Genevieve O'Reilly. Her resemblance to the original actress who played this character in Return of the Jedi is freaking uncanny. Next, we get our first look at Diego Luna's character, who is rumored to play the part of Cassine Willix, part of the Rebel Alliance, and judging by the rank insignia on his chest, he is a captain. Outside, we can just make out a glimpse of the new droid that Alan Tudyk from the show Firefly plays in the film. Tudyk, who motion captured his entire performance, plays the part of an Imperial enforcer droid who has been reprogrammed to work for the Resistance. Jyn beats the living crap out of a couple of stormtroopers and then picks up an E-11 blaster. Next, we see the dish of the Death Star being lowered into place, which is actually kind of strange because in Revenge of the Sith, we saw that section was already in place. But, you know, whatever. Another Gonk droid. Man, those things are freaking everywhere. Then we get to see Ben Mendelsohn's character for the very first time. He has been rumored to play a major villain, but we didn't know who. In fact, we still don't. However, his rank clearly labels him as an admiral. Some people are thinking he might be an earlier version of Grand Moff Tarkin, or possibly a variation of the character Thrawn from Timothy Zahn's trilogy of books from the 1990s. It's hard to see, but he's holding a huge gun in his hands. Behind him, you can see Death Star screens that have the same look and feel of those in A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. Although this is sort of a prequel to A New Hope, we get to see some new tech and hardware for the first time, such as the hover tank and the hover tank troopers, which you can see are wearing blast shields on their helmets. We also get to see the new Death Troopers as well. I like how the ends of their weapons all have this burnt feel to them because of the raw amount of energy that's blasting out of them when they fire. There's some captured X-Wing pilots being marched through the streets, and Forrest Whitaker's character, who doesn't have a name yet, but walks in with a limp and a cane. He starts going on and on about what you will do if you get caught, so I'm assuming this leads to his backstory of some sort. He got caught, injured, still pressed on to win the day, you know, yada yada yada. Mendelsohn again, this time walking through the water. Lots of dead stormtroopers floating in the water. Jyn is running with Cassine and the Enforcer droid in what appears to be an Imperial base. Cassine is wearing the trousers of an Imperial officer, so I'm assuming they are already in the base at this time. It's kind of interesting to note that the Enforcer droid has the same kind of feel to it that the original concept art for IG-88 had. We get some more stormtroopers, original as well as new sand troopers running together. A closer look at their helmets can be seen here. Donnie Yen's character, presumably blind, walks up to them and begins to beat the living snot out of them like they were nothing. Interesting to note, we see a black X-Wing smoking in the background. An Imperial transport is being blown up in a tropical location, possibly the same one that Mendelsohn was walking towards earlier. As the transport explodes, we see a rebel wearing an indoor rebel trooper style of helmet. Next is this room, which is a huge mystery. We see two of the Emperor's royal guards standing next to what could be a blue Bacta tank or possibly some form of energy source. The cloaked character in the foreground is the one that everybody's actually curious about. Now, some people are actually saying this is Darth Vader because he's rumored to have a very large role in this film. However, I don't think that's the case for two very good reasons. One, to my knowledge, Vader never actually wore a cape with a hood like this, but more importantly, this is the very first trailer for this film. That kind of reveal is something that Disney is going to hold off on showing the audience until way later in the game, like probably one of the last trailers that we get to see. Whoever it is, the cold mist coming from the chamber doesn't have the same feel to it that the normal Bacta tank had in The Empire Strikes Back. This is Jyn Wen's unnamed character with a flamethrower running from a bunch of explosions. It's rumored that he is a weapons expert in the film. Next, we have this awesome shot of the AT-AT shooting at a bunch of rebels as Cassine and Jyn run towards them. This is different than in Empire, where we saw everyone running away from them. These particular AT-ATs are the ones that first debuted in Season 2 of Star Wars Rebels. They are much larger than the ones we have seen in previous films. And our final shot is of our hero Jyn, who turns around and we see her in what appears to be the uniform of an Imperial TIE fighter pilot. Some people have said that they actually heard the breathing of Darth Vader at the very end, but, I'll be honest with you, I didn't hear none of that. All in all, it was an extremely cool video, and I can't wait to see this thing when it arrives in December. If you saw something that I missed, leave a comment below and let me know what it was. You know the deal for the rest. Like the video, share it, blah, blah, blah. If you guys get bored, go ahead and check out some of my other Star Wars videos too. How bored do you guys have to be to do that? I don't know. Probably pretty freaking bored.